I was raised by my father, I was daddy's girl. My favorite thing is to do crossword puzzles. I do the New York Times one every morning. Then I go to the barn to see my horse. If you want to do something, you find a way. Once you start working out, you feel better and it becomes something you make time to do. You can't respect yourself if you're afraid to be who you are. Even though I don't believe in God, I feel strangely compelled to fight the atheist label. I personally think that if you deny something or if you hide something, you're inadvertently admitting it's wrong. I take the sexy girl parts and try to give them something else and make them a character. I would never imagine a mate based on a certain sex or race. I don't feel like millions of people are wrong because they love who they love or they were born how they were born. I get tickets all the time and can't stay under the speed limit. I'm bad at that. I think there's an instinct to make grotesque horror films that are purely carnal, like the Saw movies. Modern cars I don't like so much. You feel better when you're eating food that retains nutritional value. I've always been a private person, and I've always valued my private life. I have been in my fair share of both on-screen and off-screen fights. I went to a Catholic school but did not really fit in. Injustice can never be stood for. I'm a good shot and I love guns, I own several. I grew up just outside of Austin, and my upbringing was fairly rural. Models are just mannequins seeking validation at the hands of sleazy fashion people. I want to be an artist. I don't want to be a celebrity. It's rare to have even half-meaningful conversations in the film industry. I watch what I eat and drink. When only 1 or 2% of filmmakers are female, you can't help but have some kind of bias. I buy records, vinyl. I have a record player at home. I don't know if I've owned a piece of technology that I hated. I don't think I would have owned it then. I've got a soft spot for true individuals. All I've ever needed is myself. It requires bravery to do something no one else around you is doing. Every article I've read about myself always winds up concluding that I am not, in fact, completely stupid. I've worked really hard to bring something more to pretty girl roles over the years. I consider it a challenge. I think my mother realized she had a somewhat unusual daughter pretty early on. It's my job in Hollywood to find roles where I get to be a character, not a bathing suit. I come from a place where I find it hard to identify with a label. If I were a man, I'd be allowed to play roles that were compelling and drove an audience to an emotional response. I have always been very rebellious and gone against the grain. I've always challenged the standards set before me. When I go into making a movie, personally, I don't try to bring other pieces of movies with me. I am just like any other girl, a sucker for romance. Each friend represents a world in us, a world not born until they arrive, and it is only by this meeting that a new world is born. We travel, some of us forever, to seek other states, other lives, other souls. Age does not protect you from love. But love, to some extent, protects you from age. People living deeply have no fear of death. We write to taste life twice, in the moment and in retrospection. When you make a world tolerable for yourself, you make a world tolerable for others. The role of a writer is not to say what we all can say, but what we are unable to say. The only abnormality is the incapacity to love. Throw your dreams into space like a kite, and you do not know what it will bring back: a new life, a new friend, a new love, a new country. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. The possession of knowledge does not kill the sense of wonder and mystery. There is always more mystery. When we blindly adopt a religion, a political system, a literary dogma, we become automatons. We cease to grow. My ideas usually come not at my desk writing but in the midst of living. There are many ways to be free. One of them is to transcend reality by imagination, as I try to do. We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. I must be a mermaid, Rango. I have no fear of depths and a great fear of shallow living. Life is truly known only to those who suffer, lose, endure adversity and stumble from defeat to defeat. Do not seek the because. In love there is no because, no reason, no explanation, no solutions. I stopped loving my father a long time ago. What remained was the slavery to a pattern. The dream was always running ahead of me. To catch up, to live for a moment in unison with it, that was the miracle. What I cannot love, I overlook. Is that real friendship? Living never wore one out so much as the effort not to live. I postpone death by living, by suffering, by error, by risking, by giving, by losing. Dreams are necessary to life. Each contact with a human being is so rare, so precious, one should preserve it. The personal life, deeply lived, always expands into truths beyond itself. It's all right for a woman to be, above all, human. I am a woman first of all. The most effective way to do it is to do it. Never interrupt someone doing what you said couldn't be done. Never do things others can do and will do if there are things others cannot do or will not do. There are two kinds of stones, as everyone knows, one of which rolls. Women, like men, should try to do the impossible. And when they fail, their failure should be a challenge to others. Better do a good deed near at home than go far away to burn incense. There is so much that must be done in a civilized barbarism like war. The woman who can create her own job is the woman who will win fame and fortune. Flying might not be all plain sailing, but the fun of it is worth the price. I have often said that the lure of flying is the lure of beauty. In soloing, as in other activities, it is far easier to start something than it is to finish it. I have a fiercely independent spirit. I am a firm believer that you can have the body you want, only to the extent that you're willing to work for it. I'm looking to find good stories, not big commercial pieces of work. I love my horror films and they will always be very close to me. I can sit in front of the TV and watch an old romantic film and be transfixed. Everybody enjoys when a woman is her own character in a movie or otherwise. I think the main struggle for women in Hollywood and women in my position is to fight for true representation in the media and accurate representation of our many diverse qualities in stories.